I mean, I had to write a difficult email only last night to...
Yeah, to me. I got that email.
Hi, I'm Nicola Green. I am the Chief Communications and Corporate Affairs Officer at Virgin Media O2. We hire around 15,000 people, and this is my duvet flip.
What do you believe has been the most hardest decision that you've had to make in your career?
I found boys and booze. That meant that I wasn't as successful as I should have been at my A-levels, and I needed to think differently. I'd done some research about having a year in industry. It was the best year of my life.
And would you had kept going in to do industry placements?
Who would really write 6 times to apply and beg someone to take them on work experience?
Did you get feared? People
Do business with people that they trust. You grow up with your connections.
What's your duvet flip? What gets you out of bed in the morning to flip the duvet?
What gets me out of bed? I think it's... Hi, I'm Nicola Green. I am the Chief Communications and Corporate Affairs Officer at Virgin Media O2. Well, I'm feeling a little bit apprehensive about sitting down with Jack today, but also excited. I have never met Jack before. I'm actually really looking forward to asking him a question because he's obviously sat in front of some amazing people. I said yes for coming on my duvet flip because maybe I'm slightly mad, I don't know. No, it's definitely on my walking to work and walking home from work things to do now, which is great. Right, Jack, before we start, did you get my email I sent you last night?
So welcome to my duvet flip, how are we?
We're good, thank you very much for having me. It's great to be here in such a fantastic location.
It's not bad, is it?
It's pretty, I mean, this is pretty sharp, this.
Not bad,
Yeah.
bit clean. I like you caught me. I don't do the cleaning, of course.
Well, I did say it is very, very clean up here.
Yeah.
Very, very clean. Yeah.
Well, we knew you was coming over.
Thank you.
I want to start here. I start here with all my guests, and no different to you, is where did it all start, the world of work for you?
Well, the world of work started, I was a paper girl. So I was up every morning at 14 years old, delivering papers, and I lived in Derbyshire, right? So that was a long paper round. That was 1.5 miles a day that I'd either walk or ride my bike delivering papers. But that got me excited into kind of communications, and what I was always reading the front pages before I delivered it through the letterbox. But that was my first ever taste. I then grew. I then got a job in the paper shop.
Oh wow!
Yeah, you see.
So you got a promotion.
I got a promotion. I was a bit annoyed though because I didn't get paid as much as a paper round because you get tips on a paper round at Christmas, but not in the paper shop. But that was where I started out, and from there I've never really stopped. I've done lots of different things, but done a lot in restaurants, kind of serving people, working behind bars, all of that. And it's one thing that has never gone away. And that's why I kind of chose a course that actually allowed me to go out into industry 1 day a week, because I actually feel I learn a lot more interactions on a daily basis and working on doing the job than I do reading a textbook or learning about theories. So yeah, it started early and it's never left me. I don't think, I mean, I've had 6 months off for each of my children, but that's it. I've never stopped working.
And where do you think that kind of drive to work hard, turn up, show up has come from? Did that something that you developed, or was that something just in you?
No, well, I think a little bit is in me, but I'll take you right back. I was 10 years old at school, and I had a teacher come up to me and say, "Oh, I can't believe you're Jonathan Green's sister. You're nowhere near as bright as he is." And from that moment, I thought, I'm going to prove to you that I can do whatever you tell me I can't do. And that's one thing that is absolutely inbuilt with me. If I get feedback, which I do, and I think it's good to get feedback, but I remember it, I overthink it, and then I go, I'm going to prove you that I can do it. And so I've always had that kind of drive to prove to myself more than anybody else. I'm not proving it to anybody else. I'm proving to myself of how far can that girl from Derbyshire who got told that she's not as bright as her brother go. And I have nothing against my brother. Good for him that he's brighter than me. But drive is so important. And I think it's one of the key skills that a lot of people don't have today. And I think you're very lucky. So whether you get it by someone telling telling you can't do something, or whether it's inbuilt, or whether you've got to develop it a little bit more, it's so important, because you should never stop believing in yourself. And if you do stop believing in yourself, then you won't achieve what you can. But set the sights high, go for it, because nothing can stop you. You can deliver and do whatever you want. And if you think about where I came from, I didn't go to a private school. I didn't have parents who have connections all over London and therefore could get myself a good job. I've done it all myself. And that makes me feel really proud. And I'm proud not for me, but I'm proud for my kids, that they have someone they can look up to and go, do you know what? If she can do it, I can do it.
I noticed that when you walked in, because you know what, hard grafter.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And I'll give it a go.
Yeah, totally. And do you know what have you got to lose? Absolutely nothing. I mean, I could go back to Derbyshire if I wanted and, you know, have a lovely life. And some of my best friends are still there, because you should never forget the people that you grew up with and you grew with. And all the way through my career, I look back and every single one of my friends or people I've met over my journeys in different, whether that's at university, I still talk to my university tutors. I still talk to my first ever boss who employed me and took that chance on me. And you should never forget them, because I say there's always a time where I may be going back down and I may need them. So it's really important that you kind of treat people with respect, you listen to them, but I think you can learn an awful lot from everybody, from different walks of life. And if you can fit and kind of adapt to those different walks of life, it's a really powerful skill to have.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm sitting here. I don't believe in myself. How do I know what can I do to get to the stage where I'm believing in myself? Because we all go through it in life, don't we?
Yeah, we do, and it's normal, right? And I think that's actually, sometimes it's a good thing, because I think you then need to rethink about what's important to you. And my whole thing is, like, I've worked all the way through, like I said, I've had kids and I've still gone back to work. You've got to enjoy it. And you've got to understand, what is it that you enjoy? Because then if you enjoy it, you've got some passion for it. And if you have passion, then you can start believing in yourself, because you know it, because you live and breathe it every day. So I think you've really got to take a step back and just think about what it is that is important to you. What do you want to do? What do you want to deliver? What industry do you want to work in? What really excites you? Because we go to work a lot, you know, it's long hours working, especially in the corporate world, and you've got to enjoy it. If I'm going to spend time away from my friends and family who I love dearly, I've got to enjoy what I do. And I think if you get that enjoyment, you can get that kind of confidence in yourself back to go, do you know what, I can do this.
And what about if you're doing a job that you partly enjoy, but you partly don't? Because I'm a big believer in every job there's cheers and chores.
Oh, of course, right.
And there's things that you love doing, and there's bits that are like, oh, yeah, it's that day.
Yeah.
How do you kind of balance it, and how do you not let the bad bits of the job define the job?
That's a really interesting question. And I think you've got to I'm glass half full rather than glass half empty. And I think, look, in life there are things that you just have to do, right? And you just have to get on with it and do it, and you may not enjoy it, but you have to always root back to what are the good things about it. So when I'm looking, do I move into another opportunity? I'm always looking about, what is it that really excites me? What is it I'm learning in this? And sometimes I've learned from the most difficult situations, and sometimes it's how not to do things. Sometimes it's how to do things. But I think if you get that and you remember what you're learning, what value it's giving you for your next opportunity. You know, there's times I got asked to go and look after internal comms, and I was like, I'll do internal comms, but I'm not letting go of my external comms, because that's what I love.
And what's the difference between the two?
Well, it's just stakeholders, right? So external communications is talking to it could be politicians, it could be journalists, it could be influencers, whereas internal comms is dealing with the people. And what's harder? Dealing with people who work in an organisation, right? Because it's their organisation. They know what they like and what they don't like, and they know what they want. But I think if you understand all of that, and I didn't want to do internal comms, but I thought, do you know what, for my career, if I get that, that's another string to my bow. And that's a good learning opportunity. And then I've grown to love it. I probably enjoy it a lot more than some of the external work I do at the moment. But you've got to take the good out of everything. And I'm a bit of yeah, you may not like it, but what good is it giving you? Is it giving you extra experience that you didn't have before? Is it giving you new skills? What is it? And if you glass half full, you will think about the positives rather than the negatives.
It goes back to your point, glass half full, right?
Yeah, right. It's so important. And I get frustrated with people who don't see the glass half full. I'm like, oh, but this is a really good opportunity. But I think I've had to kind of adapt and just think, how can I motivate that person? How can I get them to think a little bit more glass half full than glass half empty? But sometimes it's a struggle, right?
And how do you get someone to see the glass half full? When I use this saying, is when you're too close to the elephant, all you can see is grey. Sometimes you have to step away from the elephant to see all the perspectives, or you need someone like yourself
who does it for you
to help you get away from it.
Yeah, and I think it is about sitting down with that person, just chatting, like why is it getting you down? What don't you like about it? How can you do it differently in order to make it better for you? And I think if you've got a good working relationship with someone, you can have those honest conversations. And it doesn't need to be in a very formal way. It can be, let's go and chat about it. Let's go and get a coffee, or let's go for a walk outside and just think about it. But I'm quite good at kind of taking people to get a step back and to look a little bit more wider about why we're doing it, why it isn't like that, and actually what opportunities may come. And I think if you just need someone. I mean, I have it sometimes, if I am, glass half full, but sometimes I get down in and think, oh, really? Have I got to do that again? But then someone will pull me out of it. And my kids are very good at doing that, I have to say. My kids
keeping it real.
Yeah, keep it real and just like, no, just get out and do it, Mum. All right, thanks.
And how important is it having the right mentors and sponsors around you?
Very important.
Have you had good mentors, bad mentors around you?
Yeah.
What happens if you fall into a trap of having a bad mentor around you?
I've never had that experience of having a bad mentor, but I think I've said this already, but I believe a lot in learning from others' experiences. So the more mentors I can get, the more coaches I can get, the better for me in order to continue to improve. Because remember, I like people telling me that I can't do something because then it spurs me on to do it. But I think for me, I do a lot of reverse mentoring as well. So I speak to a lot of young people who are trying to get into the world of communications, and I actually find that's actually quite good because you get a totally different view. And also because I work in a different level to where they're kind of coming in, I'm learning about how the world of comms is changing. And that's quite an insightful thing to have in your back pocket. So I understand what my team are going through. And I can go, oh yeah, I get that, because one of my team was moaning about that the other week. I now understand it. But I've never really had a bad mentor. The one thing I would say is it's good to move around and get different perspectives. So I would say in the past, I've sometimes had a coach for too long because I've built a really good rapport. And I think then you're probably at that point where you're just having nice chats, whereas actually you want someone to push you. And so I wouldn't say it's bad, but I think the only thing I would say is just make sure when your time's up, and then think about what you need next, because you're on a journey, right? And you need different people for different parts of that journey. But I wouldn't say they're bad, it's just don't stay with them too long would be my advice.
So adapt. If it gets a bit comfortable,
of course, yeah.
Then learn from other people.
Yeah.
What do you believe has been the most hardest decision that you've had to make in your career?
Well, it was really at the beginning of my career. And that was when I didn't do very well in my A-levels. And the school had big expectations. I was going to go and study English, and I found boys and booze during my sixth form. And unfortunately, that meant that I wasn't as successful as I should have been at my A-levels. And I didn't get into any university that I wanted to get into. So that was a massive turning point for me, because all my friends in September were going off and I needed to think differently. And I needed to think really carefully about what I wanted to do, what I was going to do. I decided, because I'd done some research about having a year in industry. It was the best year of my life, but it didn't feel like it when I was waving my friends off to various universities. I went and worked for Powergen in Birmingham, which was an electricity company at the time. I managed to get on their corporate affairs, in their corporate affairs team. And I spent 1 day a month at Nottingham University for that year, learning about business and marketing. And at the end of that year, I'd learned so much. learnt so much. I'd learnt about all the discipline about comms, and I knew it cemented my Jackie magazine, reading it in a magazine, it cemented that actually I did want to go into that area. And I changed degrees completely. I no longer wanted to apply to do an English degree. I wanted to do a marketing business, PR degree, and that's what I did go and do. But it was a bit of a turning point, and I realised that in life, you can't blag it all the time. I mean, I do quite a lot of blagging, but actually I needed to put the work and the effort in. And I think that also helped my drive as well, to know that you can achieve anything if you put your mind to it. And where I ended up was probably in a better place than if I'd gone to university with all my friends in the September. But I would not turn it, change it for the world. It gave me so much experience. I then walked into university knowing what I wanted to do. And again, it just put perspective, gave me insights, and it gave me a job. Every time I had a holiday at university, I went back to Powergen and worked there because I built good relationships and good friends.
And would you kept going in to do industry placements if you didn't know what you wanted to do until you found something?
I mean, I think everybody should be doing industry placements. I mean, I can remember, and I won't say the brand name because I actually do still know that person, but when I was at university, I wrote to one very top brand in the UK 6 times, and 5 times they wrote back to me going, there are no work experience places for you, I'm really sorry, we're not going to bring you in. And then on the 6th time, I think they were just so annoyed, they were like, just get her in for 2 days, that's all we're going to give her. And those 2 days turned into 5 days, into then coming and working for 2 weeks. So do you know what? Perseverance is so important, and just having that, again, it's drive, right? And also fear. Like I was fearless at that age. I mean, who would really write 6 times to apply and beg someone to take them on work experience? I'm not sure I'd do it today, and I think we spoke about this earlier.
We talked about it. Talk to me a little bit, because you talked about fear and you're not as fearless as...
I'm definitely not as fearless. I think that's just being in the corporate world, and also young. And I think you spoke about naivety, and I think that's a really important point. I didn't know any different. I didn't probably know about etiquette, that actually you shouldn't be writing 6 times to an individual, that you may annoy them. But in the end, I got what I needed to. So it works, and I'm not saying that you should hound me. I'm going to get 6 letters from people, aren't I now?
You are. That's why I'm just sitting here quietly. I'm like, oh.
And fair play if I do. Fair play if I do. But yeah, I think for me, I think over time and with age, you lose a little bit of being fearless and a little bit of that naivety. And I suppose I care a little bit more about my reputation and how I'm perceived by others. And I'm not sure that's necessarily healthy. I'd love to go back to that point where I didn't have that. But I think that's just probably part of the conditioning through working life, that you've got to that point.
Why do we lose that? Like, the fearless, but also every single lead that's been on the show, from the Deputy Prime Minister to Claire, who we both know, it's all about being curious.
Yeah.
And when you're really young, you always, what's that? How does that work?
Yeah, totally.
3 times. And then it kind of conditions you to, oh, should you be asking a question?
Yeah.
Is that a silly question?
And I felt that. I felt that when I first joined the board. I felt, oh, I can't really ask that question because I should actually know what I'm doing. But actually, you should ask that question, because actually it's the most simple questions that get people thinking about what we're doing. And I always play a little bit of the role of the customer. So I'm trying to always bring the outside into those board discussions, because I think when you're in an organisation, you're quite insular. So you believe your own hype, which is fine, because you're in it day to day, you're kind of dealing with everything. And actually, you need to really put yourself in the shoes of the customer at all times. And you also need to go, well, a journalist wouldn't buy that if I tried to sell it in. But it's almost like the realist versus the cheerleader. And, if you're in an organisation, you should be the cheerleader. You should be proud of the organisation you work for. But actually, there's a realist bit that I think is also really important. And if you bring that in, that will keep you curious and keep you really questioning why we do things. Because why do we do things the same way all the time? And what is right for disruption? Being disruptive is actually very, very powerful. And I'm not as powerful as Claire as being disruptive, but I think there's an edge of that curious nature, which we do have to make sure we do. But I think you can be conditioned in an organisation to just believe your own hype, which is just not helpful.
And that's when you have to take a step back and be a little bit more
and
real.
Talk to people.
Yeah.
Talk to your customers, talk to your stakeholders, and bring that insight into that boardroom table, or not even into the boardroom, into lower down the organisation, because
every room.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Insight is really important. We used to have in O2, we used to have a chair, which was always the chair of the customer, in every meeting room. And that was always something that you kind of referred back to. What would the customer say if you launched that? Would they be happy with that or sad with that?
I love that.
And I think that we forget about that. And I think, again, it's really important to make sure that we don't forget about it. And the customer stays at the heart of, especially if you're selling to them, or if you're a B2B company, that, what does that organisation that you're selling to want? And are you delivering it? And what are they annoyed about?
I love that. At Duvet Flip, we have the Speak Your Truth sessions, and we find the smallest thing that you can pass around, and when someone's got it, they're speaking their truth, whatever it's about, because that's the only way you can actually thrive together, right? If you have an authentic, honest conversation about what's working, what's not, how are you finding things. So we call it Speak Your Truth, but it's a bit like the chair.
Yeah, no, totally. And
maybe we need to get a chair.
Right?
Speak Your Truth chair.
Yeah, you should. Or a hat.
Or
I think a hat's quite nice.
Leon's wearing one at the moment.
Is that the Speak the Truth?
That's the Speak the Truth hat. I want to talk a little bit about your road into O2 and then where you are now.
Yeah, it's been a long road at O2. A long
18 years at O2, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was very, very long, but fantastic years, right? And where I came from, so I was obviously working at Orange just before O2, which was another mobile phone organisation, with a very visionary leader in Hans Snook, who was fantastic. He definitely could see into the future. I can't take that away from him. He was amazing. But there was a bit of a startup mentality with Orange. It was very much kind of go and build it, right? Do what you need to do. I can remember my boss giving me so much freedom. Well, if you think it's the right thing to do, Nicola, let's do it. But a lot of what I learned there was about building relationships, because I'm a true believer that people do business with people that they trust. And I think putting a face to a name and going out and just having kind of personal interactions made a massive difference. And we used to go out, and at that stage we were going and talking to people about mobile phones, because it was quite unique at that point. It was a cool thing to have. You probably don't remember those days, but in the old days, not a lot of people had mobile devices. But we were really trying to do something different in the industry and change things around. And we did, I believe, such a good job at Orange that I then got headhunted to go into O2, who'd obviously just spun out from BT, and they wanted to reinvent themselves and do it differently. So they wanted me to bring my learnings that I had with Orange into O2. And that's what I kind of successfully did. I worked with a number of different CEOs, each different, each wanting something different from a corporate affairs director, and I wasn't even corporate affairs at that point, and you have to flex depending what they need. So no job is ever the same. So I may have been there a long time, but each time I was offering something a little bit different to them in what they needed and needed me to do. But what I was able to do at O2 was to gather skills in lots of different kind of communication disciplines, to really build my credentials up. So I wasn't just a consumer PR person. I understood corporate PR. I did internal comms that we've spoken about before. I did public affairs, and building that all together, and then seeing actually we could make us be more efficient if we work together and all those disciplines work better together, and also be more powerful in how you communicate your messages, because you're talking to all different stakeholders at the same time with similar kind of messaging. I've loved every moment of O2. I really have. I'm still very, very loyal to the brands. I was involved in bringing the iPhone over for being the first operator to have the iPhone. We obviously did the Millennial Dome and turned it into the O2, which is just a fantastic achievement. Really kind of realised that we needed to offer more than just a traditional mobile service to keep our customers happy.
Was you involved with bringing Beyoncé as well?
Beyoncé, yeah. I used to have in the atrium a big picture of Beyoncé that we did when we did the priority walk ads, and we still do them. We did one actually last year with Virgin Media O2, but with the O2 brand with Dua Lipa.
Nice.
And we sold out Wembley just through our priority ticketing that we did, which is just phenomenal. And I think we're just as associated with music as we are with the mobile phone brand. And the reason why we were different is because we put customers at the heart of every decision. And I've always said that that is the most important thing. We were always pushing boundaries. We also had a bit of that underdog mentality. Like, we wanted to do something different. You know, everybody had written us off when O2 first started, and now look where we got to, which was phenomenal.
It goes back to your point when someone tells you you can't do something.
We can do it. You can absolutely do it. And the pride and passion that it kind of created was immense. But yeah, some of the best working times of my entire life I've been working on the O2 brand, and I think there's a bit of blue blood in me, and it's not royal blood. It's O2 blood.
And for anyone who wants to get into PR, comms, do you need to know a lot about technology, telecoms, engineering?
No, I think look, there's loads of different jobs, right, that you can do within a telecoms company. You don't need to be able to write code to work in a telco or a technology organisation. But I just think you've got to have the willingness to learn. And you should never, ever stop learning. Continual learning is just so important. And you can, again, if you believe in yourself and back yourself, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. But no, you don't. And comms is, you know, you can do comms in a telco organisation or comms in a fashion brand, and they have similarities, right? You need to understand your market a little bit more and who your customers are, but you can adapt and change. The principles are exactly the same. But again, you know, being in comms, it's a great skill, but you've got to hone your communication skills. You've got to be able to communicate with others well in order for you to be successful in the communications industry. But you can learn that.
You're starting your career again.
Yeah.
And you know you want to get into corporate affairs and comms.
Jackie magazine, you see, it's powerful.
Yes. What's the first skill you hone in on?
Well, in those times it was writing.
Yeah.
And written communications. And I have to, you know, I think I've always been so surprised about how some young people can't write, and I actually think maybe ChatGPT may help them in that going forwards now, so there may be more opportunities. But you can pick up, like, there's a difference in, you know, writing essays at school to writing powerful communications to persuade someone to do something, and that's what it was all about. And sometimes I got it wrong. You know, I can remember Orange writing an email to a journalist with what I thought was powerful communications about why they should be taking an Orange mobile phone and what the powers of what it could bring. And the journalist wrote back and wrote, "What a load of rubbish." I never spoke to that journalist again. but that was a bit of a wake-up call. So I realised then that I've got to sharpen up a bit more, and I can't just give a long essay about why Orange was amazing. I needed to really hone my messaging and my skills. But that is so important. Being able to communicate is so important, especially if you want to be in the comms industry.
Absolutely.
But you can learn it. You can learn it, but you've got to want to.
I'm dyslexic, so I find it really hard to write.
Yeah.
But as soon as they brought out the voice note, where you can voice note to something,
Perfect.
It's helped me become such a better communicator.
Yeah.
As soon as I press that button, you can hear in my email exactly how I speak, and it's just helped me become a better. Maybe because I wasn't good at writing, I've had to learn how to communicate with people better.
But do you know what? I think that's great. That's technology for good. And I think sometimes people are ashamed to go, "Oh, I use this technology to help me." But do you know what? This is no different than my mum was a medical secretary. And I can remember at the time, she had spell check on her computer. And I can remember this conversation vividly. She came back from work and she was like, "Oh, I can't use spell check. I mean, I've built my, you know, whole kind of career on being able to spell really well." And I think AI is a little bit like that, as in that's how receptionist or secretary, as my mum was, felt when a spelling check came in, they were like, oh, why should I be using that? And then everybody kind of go, do you know what, get over yourself. It's actually helping you, and you can be more effective and more efficient and quicker at doing what you need to do. And I think that's how we need to embrace AI and technology, because it can be a force for good. And I don't think it's ever going to displace people, because I think certainly in communications, we have that emotional intelligence to understand how we should communicate or when we should communicate. So I don't think it can totally replace communications people, but I do think it can make us more efficient and more effective, and we shouldn't be afraid to use it if it can do that and help us.
But why do you think people are still a little bit afraid to use it?
Because I think they're scared of their jobs. I think they're scared that it will displace them. I mean, I've had an open conversation with a junior member of my team who's like, I feel ashamed if I used, ChatGPT. I was like, why? You don't need to feel ashamed, because you can be doing other stuff. If that gets you to do something quicker, brilliant. Use your skills then in something else. Learn something new. Give something more. But I think there's still a little bit of kind of people finding their way with it and trying to understand what it can bring.
What it can do.
And what it can do.
Leo and I currently got 3 chats in AI fighting each other on how to buy LinkedIn. It's fun.
Love that. I love that.
Because you've got the best experts around the table.
Yeah,
and one's saying you can't, one's saying you can, the other one's saying this, and then you put all that to. But it's what I've
information, right? It's good insight.
What I'm noticing though is people are getting lazy with the AI. So they're typing into it, and then they're not reading what's coming out, and they're putting that over and going done.
Totally agree.
It's you prompt it to give you some information, and then you need to then be creative, strategically smart, to actually use that information and use the best bits, because not all of it that it's producing is right for you or in that situation.
Totally. I mean, I had to write a difficult email only last night to...
Yeah, to me. I got that email, thank you.
And I did start with ChatGPT, because do you know why? I was a bit lost about how to write it and I didn't want them to be offended. I really thought quite hard about what I wanted to achieve and how I wanted that person to feel at the end of it. And the first response back, I was like, oh, God, that's so too corporate. That's like, it's not me speaking.
Make it a little bit more me.
Yeah, a little bit more human. And then it took me 6 iterations. But what it did do, it got me started, and it got me to really hone in on what I wanted to land with that person.
Starting point, right?
A starting point, and that's good. I don't think we should be ashamed of that. I think it's powerful. And you know what? I actually think how I responded in the end was much better than if I'd just done it from me in my first ever attempt.
So use it to prompt, to get a starting going, adapt it, and then it helps you start. Yeah. Because I think that's a lot of people struggle with just starting, right? Starting something.
Right. Starting is the hardest part. Trying to get my daughter to start revising. But then when she's revising, she's fine. But getting her to start is hard. But yeah, I think anything that can help us in that is good.
So AI can be a force for good if used right.
Yeah.
To start.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I mean, we've used AI, which I think, and I would say this, but in a very creative way with our Daisy AI app that we've had, which is Scam the Scammers. And there's a number of reasons why we did that. Scamming is a massive problem for our customers have to deal with on a daily basis. But actually, one of the reasons that we did it for is actually to demonstrate that AI is actually can be a positive force. Because at that time, everyone's like, AI is crazy, it's taking over the world, we're going to be taken over by robots, AI. But actually, that's where you use AI to actually help you as an individual, as a customer, to basically get rid of the bad people, right? The people who are causing you headaches and problems. And I think that's why that campaign really kind of ignited the imagination of a lot of people.
Grandma of the Year, right?
Grandma of the Year. I mean, I wish it was my grandma.
Yeah, me too. I was just going to say that.
Very, very sweet. But she's fantastic, and it's doing AI for good, right? And we shouldn't forget that.
Absolutely. And do you think AI is going to replace many jobs in corporate affairs, or is it just going to enable?
I think it will enable. I think there are I think it will just free you up to do some other stuff. And but like I say, I don't think you can replace emotional intelligence. And I do think that is one thing that I think it is a skill that communicators have, and they're quite good at understanding and getting to know people and thinking about how to land messages, how to get them across, and you need emotional intelligence for that. And some people say that AI will gain that and develop it over time, but you need to know when to use it and when not to. So I can't see it replacing it completely, but it will get rid of some of the dull jobs that nobody wants to do.
Well, when I got your email last night to say that you're going to send your AI avatar instead of you, I was like, no. No, I got right onto my AI and said, right, type back saying that is not acceptable. No. I've got the tea ready. I've got your Earl Grey ready.
And that was a great cup of Earl Grey tea, I have to say. No, I don't think you can replace it. And I didn't send that email, just for the record.
3 professional life lessons that have really kind of just stuck with you and made you the leader you are today. What are they in life? So
never give up is my first thing, because things don't always happen in the time frame or in the way that you want. I think secondly is see everything as an opportunity, and we've spoken about glass half full.
Yeah.
I do think that is really, really important, because you can learn an awful lot from doing things or experiencing things that are actually not very nice, and learning how not to do things, as well as the good that comes from it as well. And you cannot underestimate connections, relationships, and how important they are. And for me, you know, I spent a lot of time, and mainly because my boss at Orange at the time was like, go out and talk to journalists about us. Go out, you know, go and just take them for a drink and have lunch with them.
Did you get feared going out and talking to journalists?
I mean, you're always a little bit nervous, aren't you? Because they've got a job to do, and we need to respect them for the job that they do, and I've got a job to do as well. But I think because I was thrown in at the deep end, I kind of learned on the job about how to do it and how to manage it and how to do it. But some of those journalists I was knocking about with in the early stages of my career are now editors of some national magazines or national newspapers. So that's what I mean, right? You grow up with your connections. So always treat people in the way that you want to be treated yourself. Respect them. Like I say, sometimes journalists don't always write exactly what I want them to, because they've got a job to do, and I need to respect that. And they need to respect when sometimes I may get a little bit grumpy when they've written something that I don't like. But I think you've got to have respect and build those relationships, because I pride myself on having quite a good network of people I can rely on and turn to. I try, sometimes I'm rubbish, but I try and keep in touch with as many people as possible. And, my first ever boss, she says, oh, sometimes you're the one who helps me now. I was like, no, but you still help me today, because you've just got a good relationship. And again, you can learn an awful lot from others.
Absolutely. And what do you think has been your invisible success in getting to the board and becoming a chief?
I have to say, I think it's my drive. I do think drive is so important, and I think if you want anything, you can achieve it. You really can. Like I say, you may not go in the straight line that you want it to go, or as quickly as you want it to.
And you might headbutt the wall 3 times,
exactly.
But you know what? You get back up.
You get back up and you go again. And I think I've always had that, and it goes back to that school teacher of proving myself. And I'm doing it for me, not doing it for anybody else. But that's what drives me every single day. And also, being a role model for, my kids, and demonstrating. Sometimes my daughter and my son don't always find it easy at school. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You can still be successful, just because a grade doesn't define you. And you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. But you've got to have the drive, and you've got to want it.
And I can see the role model, like today you've brought 3 fantastic young people with you who are doing some work experience. Yeah. It's just amazing, isn't it? Like,
you've got to shut the elevator back down. You have to. You've got to help people. And also, they may be giving me a job when I'm on my way back down. They don't know it yet.
I can see it. They're taking notes.
Let's hope so anyway. I'm trying my best. It's like an interview, this.
Well, it is. I've got one more question. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
What's your duvet flip? What gets you out of bed in the morning to flip the duvet?
What gets me out of bed? I think it's about being a role model. And I'm a big believer that if I am going to flip that duvet and go to work every day and leave my friends and family behind, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to deliver exactly what I want to deliver, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it. And I think I do, and that's why I'm still in communications after all these years, because I enjoy what I do, and that's why I flip my duvet.
I love that. Well, I just want to say thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Really, really appreciate it. And it's been great.
It's been great. And I think your advice has been superb, like literally practical things that we can take. Glass half full, believe in yourself, have the drive to move forward, to give it a go. And now I know how to get in contact with you, just send you 6 letters.
I know there's a lot of people who may be sending me 6 letters now. I'm so pleased I didn't mention the brand name of that person.
I just want to say thank you.
No, big thank you to you guys. Thank you.